Hey, this is Mike Barnes, the financial first responder. Today, I got one of the most gracious people I know. She's probably one of the most, I don't even know how to describe this lady. The food that she cooks is like out of this world. This lady I have right here is in Texas. Her name is Dedra Spears, and I'm so glad to have you here on the Financial First Responder Show. And Deedra, how you doing today?
Mike, hello. I am happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your show. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So we're gonna start this out right. Now, for those that don't know, um, the reason why we have a world-renowned chef on the show is because some of y'all need to learn how to eat right. And so I said, who do I need to bring that I know because I tasted the food can talk to you about some things that you might not be aware of that goes on in her industry. Now, first of all, this lady is highly educated. This is not um, what she started out doing, but it is as a result of what she does do. So, with that said, my first question to you, Deidre, is this: who are you as a woman?
Wow. Well, first of all, Mike, I'm from Louisiana. I grew up in a Christian home. I had an uncle who was a minister. So all my life, I grew up going to church. I have a mother and grandmother that instilled Christian values in me and inspired me to be something in life. My mom was an entrepreneur. She's a hairstylist. She had a daycare. She did home interior. So I had a foundation with my family. So I would say I'm a caring, giving person. I I'm compassionate about helping others. Of course, I love to cook and I love to eat and I like to give back. I don't have kids, but I have friends and family that have kids, and I've been one to take them under my wing and to help inspire them to do great things in life. So I guess that's who I am. I feel like I'm a good friend, a caring, giving person,
Okay,
and
now
try to help anyone that I can.
I would say you probably being a little modest because your background is something to do with chemistry, right?
Well, my degree is in mechanical engineering technology. So I went to college on an athletic scholarship. I played basketball in college and I majored in mechanical engineering technology. In the industry, when I graduated in the oil and gas industry, as you know, it can be up and down. We've experienced that with gas prices, but when the gas is high, it's good for my industry. However, it's bad for the consumer. But I worked in pipe and design, designing oil and gas and petrochemical plants. That was my background. And like I said, with the industry, it's up and down. And when the industry was down, I got laid off. I was in the industry over 25 years. I worked at my last company for 15 years. And during COVID, things got extremely slow. So I was laid off. And due to that, I had a coworker who was getting married. And because for 15 years by me working there, I was over our team builders. I took care of all the food for, we would have team builders in the spring, team builders, I mean, in the spring and the fall. And I was responsible for taking care of the food. So she knew me, my reputation, and she asked me, would you cater my wedding for me? And she said, do you still cater? I say, no, because being in that industry, it requires a lot of time. I work 50, 70, 80 hours sometimes. So I really didn't have time to do my side hustle because my full-time job really took all my time. So during the slow time, when she asked me about catering her wedding, I said, well, give me a week, let me think about it. And I thought about it. So then once I did that, I kind of got the fever to start back catering. So here I am.
Wow. So all of that, and you answered my second question was why did you go into the business of catering? Which people, what she's telling you is even though you have a setback, that's a setup for a comeback. And
Yes.
I get that from one of the church members who wrote a book, 60, I want to say it's 60 Seconds, Dr. Willie Jolly. He has a radio show, and he always says that your setback is a setup for a comeback. So I'm gonna give him
Mhm.
credit for that because I didn't come up with that. Um, what I would say to you is this is that um, through your passion you've been able to allow people to taste your food and have great experiences. So, what is your passion about design and techniques when preparing food? Because we talked extensively about this, and I think these people need to understand that when you're preparing food, it's not just buying the food or getting the food. It's the actual. It's almost like you're preparing a baby almost. And maybe you can elaborate.
Well, I think one of the most important thing about when you preparing food is hygiene. That's the major thing because when you're preparing food, not just for you or anyone else, you want to be very careful because you don't want people to get sick. And people don't realize how important it is to wash your hands. That is very important. Even if you use gloves, there are certain techniques that you need to use. Wash your hands before you use the gloves. Once you take them off, you wash your hands again. So that is like the major thing is hygiene. I'm very particular about that. And it's even with the hair. So you have to pull your hair up. You're not supposed to wear jewelry. And if you have a beard, cover that up. Long nails. So it's a lot that goes into prepping. It's not just going in the kitchen cooking, washing, prepping the kitchen before you cook, wiping down everything before you start cooking. Planning is very important. So if you plan, it makes it a lot easier. You can also save money and save time. You make better choices when you plan your meals. So people that don't think about that, even if you have a busy schedule, you can consider planning your food because if you do that, you will save time, save money. You can select something that you can cook in 10 to 15, 20 minutes. And people may think, I can't cook a meal in 10 to 15 minutes. Yes, you can. You can cook certain meats, sear them in 10 minutes or actually less, 3 to 6 minutes. And that will save you time cooking rice, pasta, those kind of things, or easy, quick meals, making a salad. So when you think about it, if you take the time, like when you plan a vacation or you plan to go hang out with your friends, the same thing, plan your meals. It's very important. You will be making healthier choices. And like I said, saving time and saving money if you put in a plan.
You're exactly right because my wife, she does it all the time. She's in fitness, and so she meal preps, and she'll take one whole day and prepare meals for the whole week. She started me on it, Deidre, and I can see I'm losing weight because I'm making better food choices. And obviously you
Yes.
exercise and you do those things, but as first responders, what I wanted to get the message out to, one of the most dangerous things that are killing our police officers and firefighters is not the actual job, it's their actual health and what they're putting in their systems. And so that food preparation is key because if we take a little time to prepare previously, we can eliminate those extra calories that we would take if because we don't really know what people are putting in the food that we get from restaurants. And so it may say
Exactly.
that it's a healthy meal, but it depends on what they cooked it in. Some people have
Right.
allergies and things of that nature. So you're exactly right about the preparation, the washing of hands. I asked my son this morning, we were cooking biscuits, and he opened the pack, and I was like, "Did you wash your hands?" He looked at me, smiled, and went and washed his hands. But I mean, it's those things that you got me thinking about that I can instill in my children. So yes. Now,
I won't even bring up the conversation that we had about the hands.
oh
So
yes,
I
yes,
won't
yes,
even discuss that.
yes. So tell the viewers the story about why you're the way you are.
Well, a couple of reasons. I've gotten food poison before, and that's major. I'm not one to throw up, but I've eaten at places before and I got food poison. So that is one of the major things that made me more careful. Also, I've seen people wipe their nose and go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands. People
That's
don't realize
nasty.
how important it is. Yes. And I call them, I'm gonna say it, pee-pee hands.
Your
I'm
pee hands.
sorry, pee-pee hands. So it's important to understand it's not just washing like this, it's washing various parts of your fingers and your past your wrists. That's important so that you don't cause anyone to get sick. And if you ever been food poisoned, I'm sure you understand. And you may not know where it came from. It could have been bad food or that person didn't wash their hands. I had a coworker who had fecal matter in his stomach
Ooh,
because somebody prepared food
ooh.
and didn't wash their hands.
Did you say
So
fecal
when we
matter?
would, yes,
Oh my God.
yes, I did. So he was sick for a long time. And even whenever we would have our team builders or we had potluck, he'd always come to me, what did you cook? So he wanted to know, what did I make? Because he knew how particular I was. And the guys that work with me knew if we had any type of fundraiser and thing, we had gloves and we had boxes of gloves. And like, if you move from this area, change your gloves. You cannot walk away from the area that you're working and just use those same gloves. So it's little things that, people may not be aware of that could save them from getting sick or causing someone else to be sick. Because I would definitely not want anyone to leave my house or an event and say that they were sick because of something that I've done. Even when I'm preparing food for myself, I wear gloves.
Right.
So it's not just for other people. I do it for me because, well, like I don't want onions and seasoning and like meat on my hands. So I use gloves.
Right. I think that's an important point, especially in these days where I know during protests and things that first responders have been a part of, like when I was in Portland, I remember the officers telling me, hey, this place is safe to eat because they don't have a problem with police officers. This place is not. Don't go there. They'll spit in your food, they'll put glass in your food, they'll do all type of things, and sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's not, but I mean, you still want to know that the food that you're eating, first the person's hygiene is good, and that hopefully the contents of the food has not been contaminated. So yes, I agree with that
Right.
100%. Now my next
So I have a
question.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
So with being a first responder,
Uh-huh.
my question is because I'm not that familiar with, I know working in an office, I know I could bring my lunch and eat it. But say if you're out on a route, how do you guys do that? Because I'm not familiar with that.
So what I do, depending on now I can tell you the first way most police officers do. They go wherever they can get
Okay.
50% off or they're food free.
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
about fighter fires, but I can speak about police. Um,
Hmm.
I don't always like to, and they tell you in the department don't always frequent places, the same places, because they get used to you. And if they ever get robbed, then they feel like they have a sense of security. So we
Okay.
shouldn't patronize the same places all the time. However, though, some of these places ended up, people become your friends or close acquaintances, and you like to come and actually partake in their places. What I do, and I can only speak for me, is I will bring a packet which holds maybe 3 to 4 meals in it. And I have a desk and I have a microwave in my office. And I will go in right once I get in on shift. I'll go in, eat something if I didn't eat prior to. I'll heat it up, eat it, and then I'll go about my day, reports or what have you, and then hit the streets. And then
Okay.
I may come back maybe 2 or 3 hours later, eat another meal. Because what my wife has taught me is that if you eat small proportion meals, and I weigh my meals out, so I'm actually using a
Yeah.
scale. So, for those
Yeah.
people that don't want to do that, I get it. But having prepared meals and knowing what you're eating will save you time, money, and heartache. So, I might be
Right.
eating fish one day, or I might be eating chicken one day, whatever the meal is. Um, Having it prepared just helps me out a lot. And I save a lot of money that way because I found it
Yes.
when I don't prepare, I spend one meal might be 20 or $30. You do that
Yeah.
2 times a day, because it's a 12-hour shift, you know,
Mhm.
people say, well, I only need to eat one time. I'm like, okay. If you're doing intermittent fasting, maybe, but if you're a regular person, you're probably going to eat more than one time in a 12-hour period. So having enough meals set aside is what I do. Now, I do like different shop places like Kava and Chops and other places that might not be around the country, but they might have good salads where I could eat a portion of it and then save a portion for later. The same thing with Kava, I could do that. What it allows you to do is not overeat. So knowing having good food choices, but having a burger every day, I can't do that. Even though I like steak and I like beef or lamb or veal, your body is not designed to do that. And what I wanted to do with this show is educate people on some of their healthier choices that they could do. So hopefully that answers your question. Um,
Yes. I just curious because I know people have different routes as officers, and I didn't know because a lot of them do eat out. But like you said, you have the option to go back to your office, and I didn't know if all officers had that flexibility to be able
well,
to go back.
they do. It's just whether or not they're going call to call to call. Because when you first
Gotcha.
start, I remember a time I was just going call to call to call, and I could only eat, you know, I get maybe 10 or 15 minutes to eat. And then after a
Hmm.
while, as you progress, you get a little more time because you're probably in more leadership roles. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that
Okay.
would be that would be an important question, especially for those people out there. And usually firefighters. Now, what I enjoy about them, you go to the firehouse, those guys and ladies have to be some of the best um, trained chefs. And some of them in their own right, firehouse subs actually came out of the idea of a firefighter. But I think that's the
Hmm.
story. But um, they cook nutritious meals and they cook family style and they make sure that they eat. So
Yes.
now my question for you is what are the top 3 mistakes people make during their meal decisions or their preparation? Now we covered one, we talked about hygiene. So I'll let that count if that's one of them.
Well, one thing people, when I say they don't plan, they go to the grocery store. Some people go to the grocery store when they're hungry and they buy unnecessary things. They buy because they're hungry. It doesn't
Mm.
mean that it's a good choice. They're hungry, so they make selections. They may know it's better that they don't do that because when you're hungry, you're not thinking, I'm guilty. I've done it. I've gone to the store for one thing and bought other things. That's one mistake we make. If you plan, if you do it the night before, you have a lot of people have food in the freezer that they may have bought last week. they could take the chicken out of the freezer or the ground meat out of the freezer that night, and that saves them time if they did that. Overcooking, cooking too much food and wasting. If you cook enough food, if you're two people household, if you cook enough for 2 days and add extra vegetables, that's a plus. So that you may not have to cook the second day because, or you cooked enough meat on, say, Sunday, and you want to add a different vegetable on Monday, so you save time. But if you cook excessive food and throw it away, then that's a big mistake. One thing you can do is freeze it. So if you have enough food, freeze that food and you can use it the next week or 3 or 4 days later. So those are some pointers that I can point out. Don't go to the grocery store hungry and buy unnecessary things. Try to plan it the night before so that you can save time, and don't cook excessive if you're not going to freeze it, because you can use that same food for the next few days or the following week.
Well, I can tell you
So
during the summer months, I like to cook on the grill. And so we cook a lot of chicken, steak, pork chops, ribs, and we can literally have food for, I can have lunch pretty much every day of the week. You know, just like cooking a turkey and after Thanksgiving, you got leftovers and you take that a couple of days. I've never been ashamed of eating leftovers. Probably because I
me,
grew up, you know, in a modest household, and a father that's you know, was a pastor, a mom that was a teacher. And so you didn't kind of, your options were to eat what was available. Some of these kids have better options than what we had when we were growing up. Um, and maybe they don't have to eat leftovers. I actually talked to someone one time and they told me after they ate a meal, that was it. They didn't do leftovers. I said, oh wow, like, you got money. Because
I know
I
people
eat
like that.
leftovers.
Yeah, me too. Now, my mother doesn't like to eat leftovers. She'll eat it 2 days and that's it. My brother, same way. But that's why I say don't cook a lot if you don't want to eat that, if you can't freeze it.
Mm.
So you said about the turkey. You can take that same turkey and come up with 3 different meals with that turkey.
Give me some
So that's
examples.
something. Okay, so you can take the turkey that just if it's fried or you bake the turkey, the next day you can make turkey salad.
Oh, that
You can
sounds
take
good.
that turkey, chop it up just like you do tuna, chop that turkey up with mayo, mustard, eggs, some sweet relish, and you can make sandwiches out of it. You can also take that same turkey, cut it up, and if you want to, make some gravy and add it with rice and vegetables.
Mm.
So, and just slice it and make a sandwich. So you have options of what to do, with turkey. So you're not restricted to just one thing.
Wow, you're making me hungry already. So, how do you suggest people prepare for an event or a dinner party? Like if they're new and they want to impress, you know, maybe family members coming over, or maybe they have an office event and they want to maybe cater or whatever. How would you suggest they go about doing it? Do you got like a cheat sheet that you could offer them at a price? Because that probably would help them out.
Well, I would say first you need to know how many people you're going to entertain and what's the particular event for. Once you know how many people, what's the purpose of the event, then you can go from there to figure out what type of food they want to serve. And it's up to me as the personal chef to give them some ideas. They can tell me, what they're interested in for that particular event, then I can give them some ideas. Um, we're I'm here to help make their event spectacular, to provide food that's enjoyable, even something that may be a little different from what they've had in the past. Being that I'm from Louisiana, I do a lot of Cajun style meals as well as traditional. But I'm open to have conversations with people in according to what type of event they're going to have. I mean, it could be a baby shower, a bachelor party, a wedding, just a get together with friends, whatever it is, and just have an idea and also find out if there are any allergies that it has to be concerned with. So it's a list of questions you just go through and ask them so you can find out what's the purpose of the event.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I met Deidre in a mastermind, and which means we have a paid for mentor. And Deidre actually, we did a smaller mastermind at a private residence, and the residence was in Virginia, had pool, all that. I listened to her and watched her talk about the menu, the meal. We talked about what was available. She flew in from Texas, or Houston. Which part? Which part? Which part? One of those
Houston.
locations. Yeah.
Houston. Yes.
And she said instead of her bringing food with her, she would have to buy it on scene. So we had a budget, we had everything orchestrated. I watched this firsthand, guys, and I know how hard she worked to pull this event off. And I forgot how many people we had at that mastermind, but everybody loved the food. We had some people that was, you know, you pretty much had to tell them to stop eating because they were going to eat everything else up, especially her desserts. So, but we had a lot of food, and she prepared all of it. And so watching her firsthand, that is an art and that is a skill. That's not something that I think I could do. Maybe if you train me, but I don't think I could do what you do. It is a different type of skill set. So with that said, what are the difficulties have you faced when preparing for those special events or dinner parties? And the only reason why I ask that is because people don't ever think there's going to be problems.
Oh, yeah, there can be problems. I mean, it could be something as you have the agenda and you have the number of guests, and at the day before or the day of, mostly the day of, because as a personal chef, you're going to shop for the client. They are
Right.
responsible for paying for the grocery, but we're shopping to get fresh groceries for the event. Now, if they decide the day of that it may be two more people or two less, it's already purchased. So if it's steak, that's different, but if it's certain meals that you're preparing, you may have enough. But I think that would be one of the biggest things is to have a number and then they change the number. But you can make the adjustment. If they give you enough notice, because you want to be there at least 5 hours, according to how many people you're preparing for. And if you get enough notice, then you may have the opportunity to go out and buy the extra. But that was probably one of the biggest things. Needing to know allergies. I'm gonna give you an example. I had an event in Florida and it was 3 people. When I get on the plane to fly, I'm told that this person is gluten-free. I'm preparing grits, shrimp and grits for them. If I had known in advance, I would have been able to order. But I'm on the flight to Miami, flew in that night. The event is the next day. I get there too late to try to get something gluten because I wasn't told. So that was a slight issue for me. That morning I went to several stores to try to find the gluten-free grits. There is a company, but they weren't in the store. So that was an issue that I had, but we worked it out. So she just ate the shrimp. But it's things like that when they don't tell you in advance, you're like, why did you wait until I get on the plane to tell me this now? It's like, okay, let me see what I can do. But we worked it out. She enjoyed the shrimp and the vegetables. So it's little things like that.
So as a personal chef, I've heard you talk about people doing baby showers, bachelorette parties, anniversaries, graduations, um, religious celebrations, repasses, whatever it is that people want to hire a personal chef for that elegant touch. Um,
Mhm.
the the thing that I would say is what advice would you give to people starting out in your type of business? Because some people that are sitting on this is like, man, I know how to cook. I can cook a brisket. Maybe I should start a catering business. Maybe I should do this. So what advice would you give them, Deidre? Because I mean, y'all can't see her shirt unless she stands up, but she's got a bad looking shirt. I'm telling you right now with her logo and everything. So tell us
Well,
about Dee Dee's Bayou Kitchen.
so before I started this, I started doing some research. And I think it's important that people, if you want to start a business, do some research. I started following Carter Cofield, the mastermind that we're in, to learn taxes because my family had a business and I wanted to give them some tips. But by me doing that, I started learning things for myself, like getting your LLC, your EIN, um, by doing this, learning the tax write-offs. So I think it's very important that people do some research before they jump into business. Find out if you want to cater in your state, what you can do, what you can't do as a caterer, because some states don't allow you to do preparation at home. By being a personal chef, you can go anywhere. You're not limited and having to abide by different licenses by the state. But if you cater, there's some states that won't allow you to cook at home. Texas is not one of those states. But I would say do your research first in any business. Um, Let people know what you're doing. Get your name out there. My friends know that I cook, and that it's important to build up a clientele, get an email list, go through your phone on your friends and people that you communicate with, and send out messages, send out emails to people so that they will know what you do. Don't be afraid. I mean, when I first started this and got on social medias, I'm a private person. I didn't even know what a reel was. But my first mentor said, "You can do a reel." I'm like, "What? I don't even know how to do a reader. What are you talking about?" But you have to have confidence in yourself and don't listen to other people because there are people that don't want you to be successful. And number one, it's your dream, not theirs. They don't see the vision, but you do. And know that it takes some work. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not just easy. You have to put in the work. Do your research. You got to spend some money. Get some insurance because that's one thing as a caterer. You want to get some insurance. It's not that expensive. And learn and have people on your team. And this is one thing I learned from Grant Cardone. You have to teach the people that's under you to pattern after you.
Mm.
Then you can scale your business. Once they know how to do everything you do the right way, then you can scale and that person can take over for you and frees you up to do other things that you may want to do, like travel or create more businesses. So my first thing is just do some research, talk to people, look to someone who's done what you want to do. Get a mentor. I think it's important because I'm telling you, I was green. I've learned so much in the last year that I didn't know. So you may know how to cook, but you may not know anything about business. You want to learn that because it's important to know what tax write-offs you can get. I mean, writing off your food, writing off your car, your home, the electricity, all the utilities, the gas. So those are things that a lot of people, I know people in business now that don't know that. I've shared some things with some friends that's in business. Like, I can write that off. I'm like, yeah, you can write it off. You have a business, a home office. It's a lot of things that I had no clue that, of course, I've been paying Uncle Sam for 30 plus years. overpaying them with taxes. And now I get to get a lot of those things, I can write them off. So just do some research and talk to someone that has been where you're trying to go and get some help. Don't be ashamed to ask questions. So
Wow.
that would be the, I would say.
I mean, she just gave y'all so many bars, gems, rubies, diamonds. Like if I would have had somebody tell me that when I started, I think a lot of times we have people take for granted that you can just start a business and it's going to be successful. I think E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber says that most small businesses fail within the first couple of years because of a lack of customers or a lack of know-how. And I may be under quoting what he said, but essentially what she just said is that do your research first. Find out if there's a market for it because you're either providing a product or you're providing a service in a business, or maybe you're doing both. But obviously, her product is the actual food that she serves to the individuals. And so, with that said, and we're talking about serving, what services do you provide to your clients?
So as a personal chef, one thing we do is we purchase all the grocery. So that is something that the client has nothing to worry about. If you don't like to go to the grocery store, don't worry about it because I provide that service for you. I come in, I prep, I cook, I set up the food. You can have family style, buffet, you can be served. So it's different services. I'm also working on my cooking classes. That is something that I want to do for singles, married couples, for date night, for for fathers and sons of fathers and their children to bond together.
Mm.
Um, that is something that we've talked about that I'm really serious about doing that. There are a lot of people, women that can't cook. And there are a lot of men who can't cook, and you waste a lot of money going out to eat. And I think it's important to at least have 3 meals that you can cook. Even if you repeat it every week, guess what? You save money. So I think it's important that everybody, I've had females that's been in our mentorship say, hey, when are you going to do a class? There are a lot of friends that I know that don't cook. That is so true. So instead of eating out, and like you said, you don't know what you're eating all the time, I would like to do that. Now, one thing that I really want to do, Mike, that I don't talk about a lot, I want to be able to travel and feed people all over the country, all over
Oh,
the world.
wow.
That is something that I would like to do.
That's phenomenal.
Um, yes, I haven't started, but I'm going to research. I've talked about it with a few people, but that's something that I would like to do, to travel. And I started I did a volunteer with a guy in Houston to help send food to Africa.
Hmm.
So I did go to that particular place and start and volunteer to help them get packages together so that they could ship stuff out, to Africa. But not there are people in the United States that need to be fed. So
That's
that's the
true.
things that I want to do. You have kids that go home and the only meal they get is what they get at school. So it's something that I want to do, and I have to work with some organizations in order to do that. So those are the things that I would like to do.
Well, I know the I was exposed to this when my dad was pastoring. He would help out the local Meals on Wheels, delivering food to elderly people. And
Mhm.
so I witnessed that firsthand, making sure migrant Head Start, that the kids had food, and they were safe while their parents were in the fields working. And then, obviously we got the homeless population that, they don't always get meals. They may go several days without eating, um, unless
Mhm.
they go to a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter that may need that. So it sounds like you got a nonprofit that's boiling that you need to create so that you can have people donate and maybe you even give some of those people that are homeless jobs who want to become chefs, or
That
start
is
their
true.
own thing. So
That is true.
my next question was, do you have a training course? And you said you're working on some stuff, but I think those three that you named, cooking with fathers and sons, date night with your spouse, and then family. Maybe those are the first three courses that you do with your video and guys. I'm gonna tell you, she's got a YouTube channel, and I forced her to get one. So I want you to like and subscribe and follow her because I think you're gonna be surprised on what you're gonna learn from this young lady. Um, and yes, man, she is single. And I'm gonna tell you right now, don't come with her no mess. Please, please, and thank you. Um, she's a good person. We don't need no drama. Okay. Now,
Mike.
what's that?
You did force me, and trust me, I appreciate. We were on the phone that night. You said you need to do YouTube, and I did. And I've only done, I think, 2 posts, but I have some other stuff that I'm working on that I'm going to, and I really appreciate you pushing me to do it. I'm grateful for that.
Well, iron sharpens iron. Do you have what options do you have for people to work with you? Like, do you have a website pricing guide or any way? Because my next question, of course, is how do the people contact you and follow you? Because I mean,
Yes.
they need to be able to get in touch with you.
Yes, I do have a website. It's ddsbayou.kitchen.com. DDS Bayou, Bayou, kitchen.com. I'm also on Instagram, DDS_Bayou_kitchen, and the YouTube channel. Now, as far as uh, what do I offer? I am doing the personal chef. I am starting my candy business that I will be selling pecan candy.
And that candy is
And
awesome, by the way, guys.
so I am doing that. I've set up, getting everything set up so that I can start uh, distribution. I've done it locally. So now I want to be able to do it nationally. And I did my testing with our mastermind group. When we had our mastermind, I took it and I gave it to people. Plus, I've made it in the past, and people was like, "Oh my God, this candy is good."
I'm still
So
waiting on mine.
I know. Look, I had to do the thing last week to ship it out to get that done. So this week I'm going to be working on those other marketing packages that I have to send out. So yes, it's coming. It's coming. So that, and I want to do the cooking class. So um I'm in the I've bought everything that I need. It's just getting all the other information to implement it.
Okay.
But I'm excited about it because I want to do it, you
All
know.
right.
So yes, and I appreciate you, Mike, very much.
No,
I
I
do.
appreciate you. I'm going to tell you right now, you heard it first, that y'all have heard of Rachel Ray, and you've heard of Mrs. Fields, and you've heard of I don't want to say Martha Stewart's because she doesn't really cook. She's more of, well, maybe she does. But these
Cook.
late these ladies don't hold a candle to this one I'm talking to right now. And I'm quite sure that there's some stuff that she could probably show them that they probably would have put on their show had they known. But I'm gonna tell you right now, them shrimps and grit and that candy and all the other food I done tasted will make you slap somebody. I ain't gonna say they're gonna make you slap your mama, but they're gonna make you slap somebody.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. I mean, like I said, I love to cook and I love to see people happy. That's one of the things when a person is in a bad mood, when they're hungry, that's one thing. If they eat, you see people smiling, laughing, and talking at the table. That's what I want to bring joy to people to enjoy, the food that I cook. Very
Okay,
much
well
so.
you've heard it first from this young lady. Please follow her. She gave you all her contact information. And I want you to hold on, Ms. Deedra. I'm going to stop the recording, but it has definitely been an honor working with you today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
And this is Mike Barnes, the Financial First Responder. I want you to like and subscribe to both of our channels. And I want you to understand, as first responders, you are what you eat. And
Yes.
you need to be around for your families. So with that said, I say God bless.